So the first thing that I'm going to do is navigate to grants.illinois.gov. I don't want to go to the portal just yet. I'll navigate to grantee links and grantee portal. So one thing to keep in mind is that there's a single sign-on process between Amplifund and the Illinois GATA grantee portal. So what I'm going to do is sign in here. If you don't have an account, you're able to create an account and then link it to your organization using a DUNS number. So I'll click sign in. It will take me to the illinois.gov authentication portal where I can enter in my username and password. This logs me into my grantee portal account. What I can do from here is if I navigate back to the Illinois portal, from here I can navigate to the CSFA. If we're browsing a list of current funding opportunities for when this opportunity is posted, we'll be able to see it on this list. As an example, today I'm going to show you another opportunity that is currently live within our system from ICCB, the CTE Early School Leaver Transition Program. If I click on that opportunity, this should all look pretty familiar. As we're looking at things in the CSFA, we have our standard information. You'll notice within the grant application link, there is a direct link to Amplifund for which you can copy and paste into your browser. I do want to point out that if I click on opportunity, PDF will open with the same information. That same link is here and I'm able to click on that link and it'll take me right into Amplifund. So what we're looking at now that we're in Amplifund is the actual opportunity itself. This is what we're familiar with as the NOFO details. You'll have all of your information included on this page. Project information, agency contacts, the funding information, if there's an award ceiling or floor. All of the typical information that you see in your NOFO will be housed on this page. One thing I do like to point out is that we have a submission timeline. So within Amplifund, the application will be open for the date specified here. If I go into Amplifund for this specific opportunity and wish to apply on May 1st, the system will not allow me to apply. So these are going to be hard deadlines for when the application needs to be submitted. The information may vary based on the opportunity or program itself, but all of these sections, you'll see all the information that you're used to viewing in the standard NOFO. If I scroll back up to the top, you'll also see that we have a tab for evaluation and scoring criteria. Just another standard section of the NOFO, now housed on a separate tab so that you're easily able to see the criteria that your applications will be based on. Some information about the review and selection process and anticipated announcement dates. Across the top, we have a couple different options. I'm able to print this if I want to, save a copy of this opportunity or NOFO on my computer and maybe share with some other staff. You have the ability to download it. You have the ability to save it, and we have the ability to apply. We also have a help section. And if I click on help, you'll find some information populated here. This will vary by program, so you may see some different contact information for application help or for technical help. There's also a help document guide, which is a user guide for the Amplifund applicant portal, which is 20 pages, 20 plus pages of information on how to complete an application within Amplifund, everything that we'll go over today. What I'm going to do now is navigate into a test opportunity since I don't want to submit a test application to a program that's live with ICCB currently. So you'll see here, we have a lot of the same information, except this one is a demo. What we'll do when we're ready to apply is we can either click on login or we can click on apply, which will take us to that Illinois.gov authentication portal. At that point, we will select public account and enter in our credentials. And again, these are the credentials that you use to sign into the GATA grantee portal. So it shows that I'm working. I can now see that I'm logged in. I see my name across the top of the screen. Now I can go ahead and click apply when we're ready to start an application. The first page of the application within the Amplifund applicant portal is always going to be this project information page. It's going to ask for some base information. It's going to require us to provide an application name. So I'll enter something in here now. It's going to tell us our pre-qualification status from the GATA grantee portal so that it's visible for us. It's also going to ask us how much we're requesting for this opportunity. One thing I do want to point out is that if there is an award floor and award ceiling, the system will not allow you to enter anything outside of that range. So for this opportunity, I believe there is an award ceiling of $60,000. If I try and request $750,000, I get this validation message telling me that I'm requesting more than what I'm allowed to. If we have match contributions required, we're able to enter those in here as well. And this information that we enter in here will tie to our budget, which we'll get to a little bit later in the process. On this project information page, we also have some basic information to populate. We'll just enter in some test information. And we'll notice that certain fields have an asterisk next to them. That means they are going to be required within Amplifund. Until all required fields are filled out, you will not be able to submit your application. So what I can do from here, now that I have some information populated, I have the ability to save. You'll notice I also have the ability to mark as complete and save and continue. If I click save and continue, it's going to take me to the next section of the application, which is going to be our application forms. In order to submit our application, each of these sections needs to be marked as complete. So if I jump ahead to application forms, either by clicking the application form section from our status bar here, or clicking save and continue, you'll notice that my project information does not have a check mark. Means I haven't marked it as complete. It means I will not be able to submit my application until that's done. So if I navigate back to the project information, what I'm going to do is check mark as complete. And again, I can either hit save and continue to get to the next section, or I can simply find it on the status bar and click on it here. Now that we are in the application form section, you'll notice that since I marked the project information section as complete, I get that nice check mark. Within the application form section, here I see all of the forms that I'm required to fill out. This may vary based on the program and how it's set up within Amplifund, but to give you an example of how to complete application forms, we'll use these examples. So that first form is labeled instructions. It's a reference page, has some information, has some links that we can click on, and just some general information. If I keep scrolling down, I see that there's an acknowledgement section, and I see the little asterisk next to name, title, and date. So what that's telling me is that these are required fields in order to mark this application form as complete. What I can do is if it's incomplete, I can go ahead and save that. It saves successfully, but I also get a message telling me that this field is required. I'm going to get that same message if I try and mark as complete. I get an error, and again, it populates here telling me that this field is required. Now I do have the ability to save with the information I've populated, move on to the next form, and then let's say I need to go back. You have the ability to navigate back and forth between application forms. One thing I do want to point out is that we now have a status. Since I've started filling out information on that first form, the status has moved to in progress. The other forms I haven't looked at or entered any information for yet, so those are going to be in a status of new. I will jump into the next application form. This is the Uniform Grant Application. Should be something that everyone is familiar with, applying for opportunities within the state. It's that standard Uniform Grant Application template. It's going to look slightly different than what you're used to seeing as it's built out in Amplifund now, but all the information is going to be the same, where we're looking for that applicant information, contact information for someone involved with the program matters, contact information for someone involved with the business and administrative matters, areas affected. Are they affected by the project? And here's a good place where I can show you what the conditional formatting will look like within Amplifund. You'll notice if I select no, nothing else happens. I can move on to the next question. If I select yes, I get a little pop-up telling me to list the areas affected by the project. So keep in mind, depending on your answers to certain questions, you may see additional questions pop up. Standard questions from the Uniform Grant Application. You'll notice that single line text fields appear as such, where you can enter in alphanumeric characters. We have multi-line text boxes where you're able to change the formatting, make something bold, add bullets, whatever it may be. You're able to make the formatting fit your needs. You'll also have the ability to add attachments. If there is a field for you to add an attachment on this opportunity for this program, simply clicking choose file will pull up your Windows browser and you'll be able to select a file and attach it. Some additional information about the project is going to be on the Uniform Grant Application form. And lastly, the applicant certification where you're agreeing to these terms. We do have some notes at the bottom of the page here to state when you're finished answering the questions on this page, mark it as complete. Something we briefly touched on earlier where, at the end of this process, when you're ready to submit your application, when you put together all of your information, filled out your budget, everything will need to be marked as complete in order to submit. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this as complete. If I click save and continue, it's going to jump me into the next application form. And I'm just going to see, we have a couple questions here in chat, and maybe we can address these at the end. So we would have another application form. Please enter your scope of work. For purposes of this demo, these fields aren't required, but it's likely when you're filling out your application for this program that you're going to have many required fields. So here's where I enter my scope of work. Again, we have the ability to add a numbered list, bullets, any type of formatting that you're used to, and maybe Microsoft Word you have the ability to do here. Or again, you have the ability to upload a document by simply clicking on the Choose File button. If I mark as complete, what I want to do is go back to application forms and just show you how the status updates so that you can keep track. Excuse me, let me. Figure out what happened here. Give me just a second and let me see what's going on.
So Joe, I'm wondering while you're troubleshooting that, if we could go ahead and go through some of the questions. I know some are being addressed in the chat, but just so they don't get lost and everyone kind of gets to hear them as well. Is there a recommended browser to be used when accessing the portal?
Yeah, so I think Kaylee posted in the chat, but Amplifund does support Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Apple Safari. I think versions 10 and later. I can also show everyone a little later on when I get to our support site where we're able to find that information. But we do support those 4 major browsers, Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Apple Safari.
And then we did have a question about whether or not the demo could be clipped out from the whole meeting and sent out. We do have the ability to crop this particular section out, and we can share that with ICCB to share out with the proper listservs, so that way you can share with your financial department or whoever you would like to have this walkthrough and information as well. We can absolutely make that available to you guys.
And this is Ben Klein with Amplifund. We will be doing training and making training resources available to you in the future too. So don't feel like you have to capture everything today, but yeah, I think as Brittany said, though, this can be made available.
Okay, perfect. Because that was one other question, is if there will be a step-by-step handout that will be provided. But Ben, you just mentioned some additional trainings coming up.
Yeah, and when Joe, I think it's towards the end of the demo, we'll show you some of the support resources. It's all online. We have a support site that you'll be able to access, but we'll get to that before we conclude.
Okay, wonderful. And Joe, feel free to interrupt me at any time. I'm just trying to give you some time to work out the kinks there.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Can there be more than one user per community college in the GATA grantee portal?
Yes, and that's the intention, is for the people involved in the process we'll need that sign-on and be in Amplifund. We have different roles, security roles based on tasks available. But yes, it does require that login though.
See another question from Shannon asking if a copy of all the various forms can be emailed out to grant managers. What we do have the ability to do from Amplifund is download a copy of that, and you're able to share that with whomever.
Joe,
yeah.
This is Tasha. Yeah, so for this year, and honestly, probably for the foreseeable future, just because Perkins has so many intricate little tables and details and things like that, what we'll be doing is uploading all the documents to the system. So you will be able to download those documents, configure them, fill them out however you want, and then re-upload them to the system before the application closes. And so what will more likely than not happen for say like our competitive CTE leadership grants, we will build those into the system because they're a lot less intricate. But for Perkins Basics, we will be uploading documents and then you can download those. So it's really not that much different than usual. It's just easier. You can upload them all to the system as opposed to sending us emails into the CTE mailbox. So I hope that answers your question.
I see we have another question. Will the Illinois GATA ICQ as well as the Programmatic Risk Questionnaire be contained within the system? And I believe the Programmatic Risk Questionnaire will be one of the application forms that we look at that will be tied to your to this opportunity. The GATA ICQ will remain within the GATA grantee portal. So how that's handled today will remain going forward.
That's correct. Yes. For the programmatic risk assessment, we will be utilizing the same process as we always do. The link is actually in the guidelines document that I sent out yesterday, but I'll be sending out a separate email that has the link as well, and then also the link to the GATA grantee portal where you can fill out your ICQ, which is extremely important to make sure you fill out that ICQ because we cannot grade, quote unquote, grade your application until you have completed the ICQ. It will not physically let us. So please make sure you get those done as soon as possible.
And so Tasha, can I step out on a limb here and say that I will save the questions being asked today as well in case we cannot get to all of them. And then would it be possible for the CTE team to put together an Amplifund FAQ to send out?
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I have some of my team looking into, I think there may have been some unexpected maintenance happening right now. So we're looking into that right now. While we're waiting, what I can do is skip ahead a little bit and discuss our support site. This information was available within that help section, which had the link, but our support site is il-amplifund.zendesk.com. And I'm already logged in. Let me sign out to show everyone what it will look like. The first time you access this page, you'll be prompted to sign in to Illinois Grant Management Support. If you are a new user, there's a little link here stating new to Illinois Grant Management Support, sign up. If you click the sign up button, it will ask for your name and email address. Anyone is welcome to register for an account with our support site. You'd simply fill this information in, click sign up, and you would receive an email where you will then be prompted to create your password. I already have access, so I'm going to log in. And this is what our support site is going to look like. I have a little bit of a different view than everyone will have, but the main content is all going to be the same. So we have different sections bucketed out where, you know, we have information for our state agencies, a start here with some basic information about the project, a grantee information section, which is going to be useful for everyone on this call today. There are a couple videos within this section talking to the sign-on process through the GATA grantee portal. Also, I believe there is an applicant portal training video similar to what we're doing today. But there's all other resources available to you where you can find a list of every user guide within Amplifund. We have a library of step-by-step instructions if you're maybe having trouble with a specific process. We have a section with upcoming trainings and videos, a frequently asked questions section. And then lastly, at the bottom, you'll see you have the ability to submit a support ticket if you're logged into our support site. When you click on submit a ticket, a pop-up window will appear. You'll be prompted to enter in a couple pieces of information, mainly just a title for your request and a description of what you're asking or what your issue is. This will be submitted directly to our customer support team, who will respond within a 2-hour window. Our support hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So anytime you submit a support ticket within those hours, you can expect to receive a response within a 2-hour window. So it's a good resource to have all this information available. We do have a nice search bar at the top. You mentioned someone had asked about what browsers are supported. What I could do is search our support site, start typing in browsers, and I get some suggestions. That first article being, which browsers does Amplifund support? I click on that, it takes me to a link. That information is spelled out for me here. It'll also show me some other articles within the section. Which file types are allowed for uploading into Amplifund. While we were in that applicant portal, we saw you may have the ability to upload files. Well, maybe you want to know what file types are allowed. And if you search our support site, you're easily able to find that information. A question from Sharon is all information we're seeing today already active and available once I sign into the GATA portal? I don't believe the information for this specific program is completed yet.
Sharon, this is Tasha from ICCB. The Perkins application will open on Monday, the 22nd. So at that point, all of the applicable documents will be available to access.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Tasha, we did have a few questions coming through, and I don't know if this is something you can answer or the individuals from Amplifund, but when it comes to actually getting access to the accounts and getting that permission in the grants.gov, how do they go about doing that? Do they need to go to their fiscal department? Should someone already have that access that can put them in? Who should they reach out to?
I'm not entirely sure, other than what Joe went over in the beginning of the presentation about requesting a sign-on. I'm not sure if there is someone institutionally who you'll have to speak to in your finance office. I'm not sure. Anyone from Amplifund have any insight on that?
Maybe a question we need to go back to get you with. I'm not 100% familiar with the permission levels of the grantee portal. And hopefully everyone can see my screen. Just talked with my IT team, and it looks like we're back up and running. So we can jump back into that application. What I do want to point out is you'll notice I'm not in the application. I'm back to that main opportunity details page where we see all of our NOFO information, net evaluation and scoring. What I can do from here, instead of clicking apply, since I know I've already started an application and I'm logged in, I can click on the logo in the top left corner of the page. And you'll see I have quite a few test applications started for my account. But I do know that the one we were working on was demo application, March 17th, 2021. I can see that it's unsubmitted. So I want to hop back into that. I can simply click on the application name. So this is a way you can get back into your application. I'm not sure how likely it is that everyone completes their entire application in one day. So having the ability to log out and log back in and access your saved application would be done again by clicking on that logo. If I go to application forms, back to what we had previously completed, I can see that my instructions are in progress. The uniform grant application is now complete. The scope of work is complete. The next steps I have are to fill out these last 3 application forms and also finish and mark as complete my instruction form. One thing I do want to point out though, is that as you're going through the application, we have the status bar to navigate back and forth. At any point in time, you're able to go back to those opportunity details. If you want to review, the description, or, there was some submission information that you needed to review. Or maybe you just want to look at the evaluation criteria to make sure that you're filling out your application to meet the specified criteria. So being able to navigate back and forth while you're working on the application, so that information is always going to be readily available for you. So we're just going to go through the remaining application forms and mark as complete. So I think I need to add a date. Once I add a date, I have the ability to mark as complete. I get that success message. If I navigate back to the application forms at the top, I can now see that that's complete. At any point in time, I also have the ability to print this application form with the information I filled out. I'm going to jump into the remaining 3 application forms where we have a work plan, which is, very similar to that scope of work, where I would enter my work plan here. Maybe I want to add some formatting. Whatever it may be, or again, as we talked about, depending on how this program is set up, you may have the ability within Amplifund to upload a file. Again, simply clicking choose file and selecting any file from your window. I'm going to mark as complete and save and continue. Here's where we see the Programmatic Risk Assessment Questionnaire. This should be, everyone should be familiar, if we filled any of these out in the past, with the first 4 sections. It may look a little different in Amplifund, but we know it's mainly a series of yes/no questions. Thankfully for this demo, most of these fields are not marked as required, so you don't have to watch me go through and enter every single question. But I do want to point out again where there may be some conditional formatting. You'll see here we have a question: does the organization have a time and effort system to track program-specific work performed? If I select no, I can just move on to question 1.5. However, if I select yes, I get a subsequent series of questions regarding that time and effort system. So as you're going through the application, just keep in mind that you may see some conditional formatting where questions will now appear and potentially be required depending on your response. Sharon asked, is it possible to mark a form as complete even though it's not complete? No, you're not able to, but it is dependent on required fields. We'll notice that all of these questions, we don't see that little asterisk that we saw, so it's not required. I am able to mark as complete since there were no required fields. However, if I go back to my application forms, and let's go back to the instructions, and what I can do is mark as in progress. So let's say I completed it, but I did it on accident. If I remove this date field, I hit save, and I try and mark as complete without anything populated in this field, which is designated with an asterisk telling me it's required, I get this application error message telling me one or more fields have invalid entries. So once I have information populated there in that required field, I do have the ability to mark as complete. And the ability to save and continue. Navigating back to application forms, I see I have everything complete except this last form. We'll see that this has an asterisk, so it's telling me it's required. So here's where I would document the need to serve out of school youth or whatever the question may be for this program. And just keeping in mind that this is an example program. I'm just going to enter some information there, designating a response. And we're just going to copy and paste because I know that they're required, and in order to mark as complete, I need to have information there. Again, a common thing you may see on these forms is just that reminder to mark as complete. I get that success message since all of the required fields were filled out. And now what I can do, if I hit save and continue, it's going to jump me into the budget. I also noticed that my application forms section on the status bar has that nice check mark that we're looking for. Within the budget, we have our budget instructions. These are going to be similar if you've used the GATA standard statewide budget template. Just the way you enter things will be a little bit different. You'll notice we have all of the standard categories available that are available on that statewide budget template. If we remember, I requested $45,000. And what we can do to start entering subline items for our categories is simply clicking on the green plus sign to add a line item. So training and education, training seminar, cost rate is $10,000. You'll notice some of these fields are required as well, designated with an asterisk. But if I'm going through two of them, my direct cost is going to be $20,000. If we do have non-grant funded monies, you have the ability to select whether it's non-grant funded, so whether it's your match. You have the ability to type in a narrative. And once you have all that information populated, if you go ahead and click create, I now see that $20,000 attributed to training seminar. We have some view settings at the top where I didn't enter any match, so I'm going to hide the non-grant funded column. Can always just bring it right back with a click of a mouse. And also you have the ability to hide line items. So for right now with what I have entered, we see training seminar. If I hide that line item, I can say, well, I just have a total of $20,000 budgeted for training and education. You will go through and complete this budget, entering in the amount up to the amount you are requesting. Now, one thing that does happen is, at the beginning of your application, you may have said, all right, I need to request $45,000, but as you're filling out your budget, maybe it changed to $47,000. What can be done at that point in time is we can navigate back to our project information section and change this from 45,000 to 47,000. If I go ahead and hit save, and I think I hit the help button. If I navigate back to our budget section, we'll now see that my total grant funding needs to add up to $47,000. And in order to be able to mark the budget as complete, the total overall budget cost must be $0. So everything must total up to that $47,000 or the amount we're requesting. And those totals for match would also get pulled in as well if that's something that's being used. So I'm just going to add a simple line item here. sake of moving through this, we're going to say all of our budget is directed towards training and equipment. Again, I have the ability to provide a narrative. You'll see that in certain areas you have the ability to provide attachments. If you needed to provide an attachment, the same functionality is on the application form. Simply click choose file and you'll be able to select from your window browser. And I'm going to go ahead and click complete. I now see that my budget totals up to $47,000 of what I'm requesting. Now I have the ability to mark this as complete. If you don't make a correction on the amount requested in the project information form, your total here will not update. So if I needed to add more than $47,000 to my budget, right now I would not be able to and mark as complete. I would need to update that on the project information page, which validates here to this. And for everyone else, I was responding to one of the questions in chat. So now that my budget totals up, have the ability to mark as complete. If I hit save and continue, it's going to take me to our performance plan. What I do want to show you though, is that budget. We have that nice check mark. We see our last item on the status bar is going to be submit. If I navigate to submit right now, you'll notice I have everything complete except for the performance plan. When I get to this submit page, the button is grayed out. And when I click on it, nothing happens. In order to submit our application, all of these need to be marked as complete. All required fields need to be filled in. At that point in time, as long as we were within the application submission time range, we will be able to submit our application. On this submission page, we also have a little review button. What this is going to do is download this opportunity, this NoFo application with everything you've entered. So it's common that I see applicants downloading a copy of their application before they submit it so that they have a hard copy saved for their records. So what I'm going to do is navigate back to performance plan. Performance plan will be visible on the opportunity if it's something that's being used. If it's not being used for a particular opportunity, this bullet will not be there and you won't have a little asterisk to complete. But when it is used, this is what you'll see. For this example, you'll notice that we have 5 different performance plans. This first one is marked with an asterisk telling me that this one is required. I'll see all of these other ones are not required, so I have the ability to add goals, but I'm not able to mark as complete until I have a goal for student recruitment. So if I click on the little plus sign to add a goal, we'll see that this goal type was set up as a numeric goal. You would name your goal. Your number to be achieved, we'll say 50, and you have the ability to enter a description in here. From there, you can simply click save. I see that my goal is added. Maybe I want to break out my goals by quarter. You have the ability to add multiple goals. We have a goal for student retention, which is going to show us a different goal type. Where we can either choose percentage achieved or percentage changed. So depending on how the application for this opportunity is configured, you may have the ability to select different performance goal types. Percent achieved. Enrollment, maybe we want to increase our enrollment by, 25%. And again, you have the ability to enter in a description, or that was student retention, not enrollment. But really the main functionality to look at is, you know, the goal type, if we do percentage change, maybe our desired percentage is 75%, and our current percentage, we know we're at 65%. You have the ability to enter that information here, and again with a description. Oops. We have some other goal types. As we know, we don't see an asterisk here, so these are not required. What I do want to look at is the sample strategy to give you an idea of all of the goal types available within the application. Again, this will be configured by ICCB, and they'll be telling you which ones you can choose or which ones you can't. This one will be an example of all of them. You have the ability to select a milestone goal. You have the ability to select a narrative goal. Maybe you're just, you know, spelling out something that you're working on. We looked at numeric, where you have a number to be achieved. We looked at that percent achieved, where you enter in your desired percentage. We looked at percent change, where you can put in the current percentage versus the percentage that you're looking to get to. And lastly, you have reimbursement. If there's a number or rate, you have the ability to enter that information as well. Let's just say this is a milestone where we'll go back to enrollment and maybe it's had 50 new students enroll, and then you have the ability to attach a due date. And we want to get that done by, you know, October 31st. Now that I have some goals added, and more importantly, I have a goal added for our required performance plan, I can go ahead and mark as complete. When I hit save and continue, it's going to take me to that submit page. You'll see now that the submit button is green, meaning I can actually click on it. Everything is complete. Again, I have the ability to click on review. When I click on review, it's going to download a folder with all of these application forms that I filled out. You'll see it come in a zip folder, and it'll have all the materials that you populated so that you're able to save a copy of your for your records. And lastly, when I know I have everything complete, I'm within the correct time range, I have the ability to finally click on submit. I get this nice success message. You have submitted your application. It tells me I can download the completed application by clicking application below. I can return to the main screen with all my applications by clicking on the exit button. What I am going to do is, someone asked in the chat, is it possible to download a copy of the full application prior to submission? Yes, and that can be done, you know, from our opportunity details or evaluation. Even if we're not logged in, across the top, we have these buttons where we have the ability to print this. We have the ability to access our help information. We also have the ability to download the entire application packet. We looked at this a little bit earlier, but if I click on the ICCB logo in the top left corner, it takes me into all of my applications for my grantee organization. This looks a little clustered from all the test applications I've been submitting, but here I can find that demo application from March 17th. I can see that it's now in a status of submitted. I can see some other basic details. You know, when that application window was opened and when it closes. And that will be the process for submitting your application through the Amplifund applicant portal. I'm sure we have plenty of questions in chat.
Yes, we do have quite a few questions. Obviously, new process means new questions. And so I'll help navigate through some of these. And I think, Tasha, this one may be for ICCB, because I want to say, Aubrey, when you were asking about being able to download the full application, I'm assuming you're meaning you want to be able to see the full application so that you can start compiling all of the information before you upload it into the Amplifund system. So Tasha, will the CTE application be uploaded on the ICCB website as it has been in years past?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can think about. I think for Perkins, it won't be as big of a deal since, as I said before, all of those forms for the grant application can just be downloaded right from the system. And so it really virtually would be the same thing as if we posted them on the website. But I think for competitive grants, I think like Joe just said, you do have the ability to download that application if you want to, like Aubrey said, make sure everything's correct and cross all the T's, dotted all the I's before you upload it back into the system. But please correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. I thought you just said that, but I may have misheard.
Say that again. I apologize.
That's okay. So like for the ESLTP grant, you can download the full application, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you said. Yep, just making sure.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're, right now we're looking at it from the application that I submitted, but initially before I clicked apply, I think we just saw the opportunity, details, and evaluation and scoring. That download feature is still available there where you'll be able to download those details as well as the entire application packet.
Great, thank you.
And then when you're seeing the submission, is that being seen by the DUNS number or by email account?
So it's going to be seen by the grantee organization account, so by DUNS number. So when I'm looking here at all these applications, this is for the grantee organization that I'm a user in. If I go back to that GATA portal, it's my organization name is Streamlink Software. This is going to be all applications for Streamlink Software, which is one DUNS number.
Okay, and so we did have a few questions regarding the budget portion. Naturally, that's where a lot of our questions lie. So will this be eliminating the Excel worksheets for the budget and using the budget capabilities within the Amplifund program?
So yes, and I actually exchanged a couple of direct messages with Kaylee, and she confirmed that I'm not a complete moron. When I was trying to upload the budget, and I was actually planning to use the budget template in Amplifund. However, as all of you know, Perkins funds cannot be expended on all of those budget categories that are in the uniform budget. And so currently the system does not allow you to remove budget categories. So this year for Perkins, yes, we will still be utilizing the Excel template, much to everyone's chagrin, probably.
Okay, and if that's the case, and if I jump back into this application, what you'll see when you're going through it across the status bar is you just won't see this budget section here. How it will likely be set up, and it's obviously subject to change, and however it is, it'll likely look similar to this work plan where, we may have an attachment here telling you, hey, download a copy of our Excel budget and then, upload it here. If that's the path that you take for this program, it'll look something similar to one of these forms.
Great, thank you. And Tasha, did you say the application is being released on the 22nd? Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. And then I'll go into more detail on that when we get into the bulk of the rest of the presentation. But yes, it will be released at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, the 22nd.
So get started bright and early on that.
Yeah, please don't. I mean, I hope you're sleeping at that point, but you can do what you want.
Okay, I'm making my way through some of these questions here. And please, if we do not have time to get to your question, like I said, I will be downloading all of the conversation that has been happening in the chat today and sharing that with ICCB so we can get your questions answered.
We probably have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll get on to the rest of the presentation. Sorry, Joe, I think I cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's perfect. I was going to say I do need to hop off for another obligation here in a couple minutes, so that works.
I think we did have a question for you, Joe, actually. So, Brittany, if you want to answer, let's see. So the question is, could Joe go over briefly what our first steps are in creating an account and logging into Amplifund?
Yep, I can do that. So what we'll be utilizing is a single sign-on process through the GATA grantee portal. So the first step is going to be creating an account in the grantee portal. Let me sign out here, and actually I'll navigate back there. If I can find the link. So if I navigate to that grantee portal, you'll see we have a couple different options where I'm able to sign in. If we don't have an account, it's my understanding that, you know, you're able to click on create account and sign up for an account. And what you'll do once you create your own account with a username that you set up, you'll be able to register that account with a DUNS number. That DUNS number will link it to your grantee organization. Someone within your organization who currently has access will need to approve that access. And once you do have that access, you know, you can simply sign in with the username that you set up and password. Also, if I log out, close out of that. Let's go back to that without being logged in. What I can do is click on login or click on apply. You'll notice that I'm not logged in and I still have the ability to download this opportunity and application packet. I still have the ability to click on help and kind of go through all that information. You'll see that, you know, we have a support email address. You can also see that our support site email address or website is listed there. But if I click login, it takes me to that illinois.gov authentication portal. From here, I would be selecting public account, and I would enter in my credentials that I've just created or use for the GATA grantee portal. So through that single sign-on with my GATA grantee portal access, it logs me into Amplifund. You're welcome, Brad.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the next portion of the presentation. If anyone has any questions, we can try and answer those at the end of this next section of the presentation. Or like Brittany said, we'll gather them in the chat, get those answers for you, and then we'll get an FAQ out. But I want to thank our Amplifund team so much for agreeing to come on and do this demonstration for us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I can stop sharing so that